right, welcome to the most compelling talk show on TV. It's the Dexcom Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodi. Welcome to another interesting edition that promises to be very revealing as we look at very interesting talking points making the rounds in Africa's biggest black nation, Nigeria. We'll be looking at financial infractions, EFCC probing 50 accounts linked to humanitarian ministry. We'll be looking at what this is going to mean for the economy and what is being found out in that. And all right, my producer tells me it's time for us to go for a very quick break. And when we return from the break, we'll be unveiling all we're going to be discussing. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching the Dexcom Global Television, and like I told you, we'll be looking at EFCC probing 50 accounts linked to the humanitarian ministry. We'll also be looking at the MFLA's gate as MFLA returns to the EFCC custody phases fourth arraignment, April 25th. That's the time given for Godwin Emefiele, former CBN governor. We'll be looking at that very interesting talking point. We'll also be looking at other issues making the rounds, such as the Labour Party sacking Abure and saying they're going to do audit of the Labour Party's finances. We'll be looking at how that's going to pan out because the NLC is indeed running the show in that matter. We'll also be looking at the certificate forgery as regards Ondo aspirant petitioning the APC, saying Lucky Ayeda was credentials should be looked into. That and other issues. We'll also be taking you to Edo State, where finally the sacked deputy governor in the person of Philip Schreiber is in the news saying that he was sacked based on his ambition to being the governor of Edo State. To be looking at the implications of that particular talking point. And I'll also be looking at a PDP crisis. Crises seem to be everywhere. The House minority leaders disown 60 reps as regards those calling for resignation of the PDP national chairman, Umar Damagum. We'll be looking at what this will be playing out in the coming days, especially with an eye to the elections coming up in September in Edo State. We'll also be looking at a very sad commentary here, talking about the reintegration of insurgents or bad eggs in the society, where Wadume is being welcomed back after pledging to shun criminal lifestyle. We'll be looking at what the chief of EB in Taraba State says, talking about Alhaji Garba Salihu, who said they've welcomed Wadume and hoping that he has turned a new leaf. These and other big, exciting stories is what we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program, The Desk. And one man who is saddled with the responsibility of giving us a very sound analysis, in-depth analysis from all sides of the corner is no other person but Toba Owojayi, who is a PDP chieftain and also a public affairs analyst who recently has been through, would it say globe trotting or Nigeria trotting, going to different states to get a hang of all that is playing out. And we know that he's well versed when it comes to Edo politics and the Nigerian politics, also being a legislative aide, also puts him in a good stead to help us do the analysis. Ojaye, you're looking like a $50 billion. I love your suit. I love the fact you're coming out in blue shades, different shades of blue.
Thank you very much, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. All right, let's begin our conversations with the EFCC, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Is saying they're probing 50 bank accounts after they recovered 30 billion from the ministry, or talking about the Edu Gate, better Edu Gate. For you, looking at probing 50 banks, do you think the EFCC has the capacity? Because most times when this news comes out in the media, the question is, how detailed, how much time do they have to go through this and come up with sincere, reports as regards what their findings are? First thing we hear, they've recovered 30 billion, and for the first time, the EFCC is telling us this money is in the coffers of the federal government, but they've never told us all the other monies where where it is.
Yeah, so I think they've done a good work for them to be able to tell us where the money is.
Is this a PR stunt?
It's sadly a PR stunt, but they have been able to tell us where the money is and the accounts that they've seen it in. But my point is, there's no need to tell us all of this. Do your due diligence, because if you make it a media trial and you don't win the cases in court, we've lost. This is two things that make a country work well. You reward good, you punish evil. So once evil escapes from being punished, then we're going to have a problem. So focus on that work. Focus on that critical function that you have, which is ensuring that no criminal goes scot-free. So what they've done is good. They should tie it to the accounts, know what is, whose fund is where, why is this fund in your account, freeze those monies or collect those monies back, and then they should conclude the process before they start. If they have concluded all their legal findings and they are sure 100% that they have a good case, then they can now make this charade, but they should do their homework.
But do you think the FCC is being truly sincere in its probe allegations? We know that two very high-profile persons in the APC, the current government, was fingered. The chief of staff, talking about Gbajabiamila,
yes,
and also the Minister of Interior, Olutunji Abomi, who was also fingered as someone whose company benefited from the 585 billion naira awarded contract. How come the EFCC have not found it necessary to call this man, to probe these two men?
I think the EFCC has invited Olubumi twice, but they have not invited the chief of staff. And he said...
Is he above the law?
No, he said that his company, he was not a director in the company at the time. And I don't know what explanations he gave them, but for me, the chief of staff should be able to clear his name. For someone from that high capacity, should be able to clear his name. However, in the running of things, we saw people like Adenyaju come to tell us that these things happened in almost every ministry. They
are activists.
Yes, yes, activists. Yeah. That this thing happens in almost every ministry in which money is paid directly into personal accounts for pressing matters, for matters that need to be expedited on immediately to reduce bureaucracy. But it's against the law. Let's remember that though it's done, I worked in the bank. When you were in the bank, your cash that you should use should not be more than 200,000 at any point in time. A cashier is not insured back in the day more than 200,000 at once. If you have 200,000 and above and the bank is raided, you are in trouble. But every day we indent 2 million. Because if you indent 200,000 naira and you pay 3 people, it's gone. Then you now indent again and go back and come back and go back. So it's a risk of the job that we had to take. So you make sure that you do it well. And so these are things that happen, but I expect them to clear it up. This is still looking a lot shady. They should clear it up and let us know what.
Okay, we know that James Okweta was one of the contractors where they said the 37.1 billion naira was laundered through. We also have not heard about him any further. And there was a 585 billion naira. How come that money was easily not talked about, but the 37 billion was one that was taken to the coffers. Are we saying the 585 million is not relevant? Or is it because it's consigning Tunji, who is the Minister of Interior?
4 states were mentioned. The amounts were legal amounts to be paid to those 4 states.
Yes.
Right? Now, the states were mentioned clearly, and the person who
like
the money...
Cross River, Lagos,
yes, and the
State.
person who the money was supposed to get to officially was who the money got to. However, it should have not been through her personal account.
Yes.
This is what I'm saying. So it's not like as if the money is going to somebody else who was not supposed to get that money. But the money was going through a not official account. So this is, and like we've said, this happens in a lot of other ministries also. So I won't compare that to somebody who used 37 billion to feed students during the COVID.
Yes, you're talking about the XY.
Yes, which is part of the monies we're talking about. People who claim to use money to feed children during a shutdown. Those are things that we should not sweep under the rug.
But,
and I expect.
But are you also worried that, or concerned that EFCC has not brought that to the fore? Rather, they're focusing on Betta Edu's case more. But Sadiya Umar seemed to have been let loose.
Sadiya Umar is part of what is being investigated in those 50 accounts, as at now. So we expect her to also be nailed. I think she has been told not to fly. And then whoever is involved needs to be grounded. You cannot eat money of children, run this country aground, run it the way you want, and get scot-free. I've said it, reward good, punish evil. These things must happen. If we don't do this, we're not going to move forward as a country.
All right, we hope the EFCC and the government will do the needful so that justice will be well served. All right, let's move to the next talking point. We're talking the Godwin Emefiele gate is still on, never going anytime soon. The Lagos State Special Offences Court in Ikeja on Monday sent back the immediate past governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission because Justice Rahman Oshodi made it the remand order shortly after the anti-graft agency arraigned Emefiele on 23 counts bordering on abuse of office, accepting gratifications, corrupt demand, receiving property fraudulently obtained, and conferring corrupt advantage in substance of the charges. The EFCC alleged that the abuse of office while he was CBN governor through allegations of allocations of $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira. He was arraigned alongside Harry Isioma Omole, whom the EFCC accused of accepting gifts from agents. Both defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges. Are we over? Some analysts believe Godwin Emefiele is being used as a scapegoat, and the charges seem to be endless and confusing. In one breath, some are dropped and others are brought forward, like proper investigations were not done by the anti-graft agency and the government. They all they want to do is just winch hunt and nail him by all cost.
I would say yes and no. They were at the start, they didn't have a strong case against him, but they knew they could not let him leave the country. So they had to hold him on for a gun case, which that gun was not. I'm sure that gun can't even fire a bullet. But that was the ground upon which they held him until Obaze and the team were able to look closely into the dealings and saw that there were a lot of shady transactions. We're talking about 4.5 billion. Those are things that you need to look into. We have to look into. For the first time, we are seeing EFCC mentioning names, mentioning accounts, mentioning companies, and mentioning the charges, the illegal charges, actions that were taken. So this is better. This is better than just that general, he's guilty. Yes. Okay. These ones, accounts are being mentioned, amounts are being mentioned, the wrong that was done is being mentioned. So I think this is more detailed. Let's not witch hunt anybody. I'm not for the witch hunt of Emefiele, but I think one of the issues they should even be talking about is the 30 trillion ways and means that this
The
country...
investigation is still on.
It's still on. How can you do... That's crazy. There's a limit by law that you can only do 5% of the budget of the state, 5% of the budget of the country. Now, the issue is you can't be talking about 5% when our highest budget then was 20 trillion, which makes it highest to be 1 trillion. And then you are having 30 trillion as your ways and means. It's way, way over. It's a crime in itself. So these are issues we cannot sweep under the rug. He is the central bank governor. They should also keep the Minister of Finance handy. I've not had her name mentioned in any matter so far. She may be innocent. I don't want to witch hunt her, but they should keep her handy. They should all explain.
Can we? Is it fair enough to leave the Minister of Finance and the President away from this? Because the Presidency and also Boss Mustafa, these were key actors in that administration. Is it possible that these three figures can play not knowing when these actions were taken? Because we know that during that era, the President and Emefiele were like 5 and 6. He got approvals from the Presidency. He was always with the President. The President, even when he wanted to contest, he got technically an approval from the Presidency.
Yeah, so one of the matters was the $6 million case where they said they
to pay election observers.
The observers.
Which Boss Mustafa
said there was nothing of that sort. Means that there's somebody, if it is true, who forges the president's signature. If it is true, it's alleged, okay, for Emefiele and gang. So if that is there, then you don't need knowledge because all you need is a signature. So if this is what is on the ground, I expect by now that at least the Minister of Finance should be called. Her name has not been mentioned on any matter. It's going to be tough to call Buhari, not because there's a legal stand that you can't call him, but this country can boil over if you
so is it because the way it's looking like because they're from the northern part of the country, so they're scared to get implicated, like Minister of Finance and co. And the President, shouldn't the President come and tell us, okay, yes, I approved XYZ, yes, I wasn't in this matter, rather than us say because he's the ex-president, so we leave him out of it, because the impression before he came to power was that he was a righteous man, but we've seen more corruption than we've seen in a long while under his watch.
Yeah, you see, Nigeria is not a theory. Nigeria is a country.
True. And
the country can boil for matters that are not legal. This is not a law.
Should we be scared of the country boiling if we're trying to get it true?
If I was the president and the EFCC, I would go for the low-hanging fruits first, which is what they are doing. Go for the low-hanging fruits. You find something pinned on somebody that's not the president, you start with that. You pick up all the cases that you can handle without having a complete crisis. But you see, it worked in South Africa. Zuma is still in jail, right? But it has not happened in Nigeria. No Nigerian president has been
put behind bars.
So I don't see Tinubu as the person to first do that. He's going to go for every other person that he can go for.
Why would he not be able to do that? Are we talking about his hands
being messed? Oh, no. It's just, how do I explain this country? This country can go aflames in hours just if you push a few buttons.
And are we scared of it going aflame because of some few persons? If we continue being afraid of certain group of people, would we succeed?
If you have the chance to fix many other things, fix many other things, economy, security, you also have the chance to make a lot of other arrests and refund, get our monies back from a lot of people, you're going to want to go for that first, okay? You have to try and make attempts on those matters. We're talking of 4 billion here, we're talking of $3 billion. Those are things that you can go for a start. And then as you build that case, as you win those things, as you have succeeded, remember all of these things are still political.
All right, let's look at April 11, 2024 is going to be where they're going to hear the application bill for Emefiele. Do you think the courts will be willing to grant him his prayers of bail condition? And if that's the case, are we going to see this case probably drag like forever based on technicalities?
Emefiele is a very smart man, first of all. He's a very well-lawyered person. So, and he knows his financial terms. He knows what he's doing at any point in time. So it's not easy to nail a man like that. But with the cases that they've brought up, they should be able to push a conviction. I see Emefiele being jailed and maybe one or two accomplices. I see Emefiele getting some jail time, but I don't know how soon. I hope they're able to conclude this year. And if he's innocent, let him go. Don't keep him forever. He's someone's father. He's someone's brother. You understand? So let him go if you can't, if you don't have anything on him. But if you have something on him and it is established and passes through a thorough judicial process, he may find himself behind bars.
All right, let's look at the next talking point. We've got the political crisis brewing in the Labour Party, not just the PDP or the APC, but talking about the Labour Party rising from a meeting of its stakeholders. The Nigerian Labour Congress on Monday voided the National Convention that was held in Nnewi that produced or returned the chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, and he's a working committee to fill the vacuum. The stakeholders said the Congress would set up a transition committee to meet and oversee the affairs of the party pending when the new officers will be elected 3 months. And in attendance were the representative of the chairman of the NLC Political Commission, the person of Professor Theophilus Ndubuako, and former president of the NLC, Abdul Wahad Omar. Then we've got the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Sylvester Ejiofor, and the coordinator of the Obedient Movement, Moses Paul, Labour Party Plateau governorship candidate, was also there. Looking at the Labour Party and the crisis within now, they said this was inspired by Peter Obi saying they should probe what is happening, and there's a threat of him leaving the party. Do you think the NLC is gradually leaving its mandate or the impression or the role it's supposed to play, like the guardian or the protector of Nigerian workers, to going into full-time politics? Because now the NLC is obviously looking like the president had already, informed them if they wanted to be into politics full-time, they should swim full-time.
Yeah, I've said here many times that I really don't like the body language of NLC jumping into politics. This is a political party. As much as it's affiliated to you, you can't determine what a political party does. You can't go to a political party and tell the political party that its Congress is annulled. Are you a court? What? So it's having too much a strong political undertone. Some people have been fingered in this case long before Peter Obi spoke up. There was a lady who was secretary, I believe, or treasurer, and she said, and she was pushed out.
Yeah.
Yes, was suspended and all of that. So it's not something that is a Peter Obi thing. And of course, they want to retain him. He's a golden goose, and he also wants to stick to that integrity. Abure has been somehow messed up. I think they want to drop him so that they can have a fresh start.
Okay.
And he's holding on, and they're trying to use the NLC to take him down and then get a fresh start. And he has his legal rights, and he's holding on. So it's going to be really messy for a while.
Well, how do you think this is going to affect the Labour Party, especially with elections coming up in some states? Especially we're looking at Edo State, where they look like they might just have a chance of sneaking with a shout for a shot at. Do you think this is going to affect Labour Party, and would this be the beginning of the end of Labour Party? And are we likely to see Peter Obi maybe decide to move if their mess is not sorted out?
Where will Peter Obi move to? That's the question. You see, it's not easy to just jump around. But he has time. He has 3 years. He's going to the north. He's trying to balance his perception. But if you want to jump from this party that you have spent time to bring on board. You now have a governor, you have some senators, you have some House of Rep, you have House of Assembly, you have some chairmen, and you want to go and restart all over again. Yes, everybody, 95% of people in Labour Party are there because of Peter Obi. So if he opts to move to somewhere else, they will still move with him. But it still brings this question, would you always jump ship and not solve the problem? These are the things he would have to face. You went to ABGA, it didn't look like it worked for you. You went to PDP. You went to PDP when it looked like you couldn't get the ticket. You went to Labour. So is it that every time you have some challenge, you move on to another new platform? But he has willing followers. He has almost blind followers. So he's been making the best of it. Okay,
let's see how that's going to pan out. Let's take you to Ondo State, where a governorship aspirant of the All Progressive Congress in Ondo State, in the person of Benga Edema, on Monday pleaded with the national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Ganduje, and the National Working Committee to investigate the certificate forgery allegations leveled against Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. The appeal was contained in a petition made available to journalists in Abuja. The plea comes few hours after the legal practitioner Oladotun Hassan similarly petitioned the Inspector General of Police over the alleged move by top-ranking police officer to tamper with the report of an ongoing probe into the allegation that Aiyedatiwa's lawyer has since refuted. Addressing newsmen, Dema said he was not deliberately petitioning the party leadership out of envy. According to him, if the party fails to duly vet Aiyedatiwa's credentials before clearing him for the primary, they may likely witness a repeat of the drama that led to the disqualification of Bayelsa APC governorship candidate in the person of David Leon, who was sent packing by Supreme Court for a similar offense after winning the poll. Why do you think Aiyedatiwa is scared? Because when that issue came up, he quickly sent a warning to Adama saying he must do public apology within 7 days. If not, legal actions and all that will be taken against him. Do you think there's something Lucky is hiding?
If you ask for an apology in 7 days, it depends on what you have. If you know you have something solid against the person, why do you move? If you know you have something solid, because this is defamation if you don't have something solid.
Why give him 7 days? Why not just go full blast if you're certain that your papers are all good?
Yes, maybe it's giving him a chance to rethink it. But for me, his papers may not be all good, and it's maybe buying time so that they can have off-record discussions.
Yeah. Because we heard them saying there's a likely, because the police first of all came out to say that report was authentic. Later on they came out and said it wasn't authentic. So can we hold the police responsible for trying to dilly-dally with that report that first said the investigation showed that his papers were not genuine? Then later on comes out to say they believe this papers, the report was not authenticated.
Yeah, but you see, they are not the court. The court is the only person that can authenticate a paper, not the police. So let it go to a legal matter. And if APC wants to risk it, they should risk it. But forgery can get your candidate kicked off and your party completely. And this is the ruling party in that state, so they would have to weigh, should they go for another candidate? Should they stick with the candidate? So these are and I'm sure the person who is pushing is not the real person pushing. Somebody
who is very certain.
Who is very certain and benefiting is somewhere in the dark, funding this and pushing this out. So if you can create enough doubt around the candidate, then the party would be tempted to go with another candidate, to be sure. If the party,
so you think that's the game being played right now?
Here. So maybe,
regardless of if it's authentic or not.
Yes, let me say allegedly, I would say Senator Jimoh Ibrahim may not be far from all of this drama, because he's the next to benefit from this. If the governor looks shaky, if the governor looks like he's going to throw away APC's ticket and seat, then the party may say, let's go for someone else. Young man, you've been deputy for a while,
Right.
and you've enjoyed being governor for a while. If you have this issue and this is on ground, rest.
But for Aiyedatiwa, what do you think is going through his mind? Because there was a group that had come out with this statement like almost 3-4 months before now, and he didn't completely, rule it out. Do you think he would want to take that chance?
You see, if you don't have your papers, I'm just surprised that people don't really go to jail consistently for forgery. If you know that you are going to get 6 years in jail or 8 years in jail, you'd go and rest. It's when you think you can beat the system. But we must build a system that cannot be beaten by anybody. If there's a forgery case, you go to jail for like 8 years. Then you now sit down well and look at your papers and look at the risk you want to take, whether you want to play this game or you want to bow out. And that's the way forward for me.
All right, let's see how that is going to pan out in the coming days. Let's move on to the next crisis from one to the other. Let's talk about the People's Democratic Party in crisis. As the minority leaders of the House of Representatives, drawn from all opposition parties, have disowned 60 lawmakers who, on Monday, called for the resignation of the People's Democratic Party's acting national chairman, Omar Damagun, for alleged anti-party activities. Recall that the 60 parliamentarians, under the auspices of the coalition of opposition lawmakers in Abuja, threatened to quit the PDP if Damagun does not leave office to pave way for the appointment of a new acting chairman from the North Central the zone, the suspended national senator Ayu, reacting to the statement issued and co-signed on Tuesday by the minority leader and the leader of the caucus, Kingsley Chinda, Deputy Minority Leader Ali Madaki, and Minority Whip Ali Issa, and the Deputy Minority Whip Georgia Ozodinobi. The lawmakers described the Ikenga Ugochini-led coalition as a body unknown to the parliament. The way they deny themselves and tag their groups is very, very interesting. Do you think how far do you think this can go?
Yeah, first of all, we saw the pictures from the event. We didn't see 60 House of Rep members. We saw 6 House of Rep members. So I don't know how 6 House of Rep members
turned to
60. So this is a normal animal behavior where it's faced and it tries to swell itself up to look bigger than it looks. So the people who have the power and authority in PDP have now distanced themselves from it. That we are the authority. I am the minority leader. These are these people holding these positions. We don't know what you are talking about. And you have not consulted with us. So 6 people have a right to have a collusion and say whatever they want. They are backed by law. But claiming that 6 people are 60 and then claiming you are speaking on behalf of the party, that's overreaching.
Well, let's look at in the person they are talking about now. Can we look at the allegation, anti-party activities, and the chairman of the PDP now, the current acting chairman? Do you think he has a case to answer? Do you think the PDP had done enough investigation to see whether the 6 or 60 lawmakers are in fact saying the truth?
It will take time to do that. The presidential candidate is back in the country because of this NEC meeting. This is still a tussle between Atiku camp and Wike camp, because the minority leader Chinda is a Wike man. Okay, so the Wike man is distancing himself from any plot to remove Damagun. Ikenga has always been an Atiku man, always been. So him and his 6 or 60 House of Reps members are following a script. This is all a script. This is trying to remove this. This is trying to retain this for.
So can we say technically Atiku and Wike at daggers drawn the way it is?
Still on. They're still on, and I think Wike's team wants to keep Damagun, which is why these guys are shouting anti-party. And the other guys want to remove him to bring in Suswan, who is an Atiku man, 100% Atiku man.
But looking at Wike now, the fact that he's not, some analysts have posited that Wike is likely to be jumping ship, but he's not jumping ship. He's still struggling for the soul of the PDP. What does this tell us in terms of where his loyalty lies, especially looking ahead of 2027 and onwards?
If Wike is able to seal the soul of PDP, Wike can resign as FCT minister. I can show you that.
Soul of PDP has become the national chairman or the aspirant or the candidate going forward.
We are still talking of a case where two factions are trying to drag the leadership from the chairman to who the major candidates will be. So if Wike's team is able to retain power and they see that they have a chance to contest in 2027, Wike can. The FCT position is not something too big for him not to resign and make a full front for PDP. But it's something like you don't want to lose what you have.
For what you're not sure of.
For what you're not sure of.
But on the part of the APC and the president, who we know is a very smart, shrewd politician, wouldn't the president be looking at Wike with an eye to say, what game is this man playing? Is he likely to turn against me somewhere along the line if he gets what he wants?
Somebody like Tinubu expects betrayal from day one and plans for it. But it's already burning Wike also because you cannot be PD-APC, where you're in both parties. You're not trusted here. You're not trusted on the other side. So it's really tough for him because right now he's not trusted in APC and he's not trusted in PDP. So he's in between, but just hanging and trying to hold on to PDP and hold on to FCT. But you see, he has not pushed for anything on the APC front. His name came up once on a list for Bayelsa's election, and he asked them to rescind his name from the list, and it was done overnight. And the party distanced itself from that list that mentioned Wike's name on the APC list. So he's still saying for now that I'm not APC. I've just been appointed and I ran that letter through my party chairman, my party leaders, my governor, and I ran this, got their permission down the ladder. So I'm not acting alone, which is why they are also shouting anti-party. How would the party have agreed to such an arrangement?
All right, let's move on to something very interesting, where one man who used to be one of the wanted men in Wadume will be welcomed back. The chief of EB in Taraba State, Alhaji Garba Salihu, has said that the convicted kidnap kingpin Hamisu Bala, aka known as Wadume popularly, came to the palace to pay homage after his release from prison on Sunday and pledged to work with the relevant stakeholders to fight against criminality. Salihu, speaking on Monday, said the palace had to accept him and take him by his words, believing that he would change his lifestyle. And he also made mention of the fact that even repentant Boko Haram persons are reintegrated into the society. We've got the monarch who seem to take what Wadume said with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
How risky is that move, accepting Wadume back? And doesn't it look too early for Wadume to be out of behind bars already, especially with how tense the security situation is? This is someone who jumped bail, who had killed people, and do you think justice was well served?
Justice was not well served. I expected maybe 10 or 20 years on his sentence. It's not something he should be out now, but legally he's out. He has finished his jail term. If a person has finished his jail term, then he's allowed to live anywhere in Nigeria. This is law. This is not emotion.
Yes.
He has a right to go and greet his chief. He's working by the books. He's working by the law of the country.
But do you think he's playing really smart with that move he made?
He has to reintegrate himself into society. Or else he goes on exile. If he goes on exile, he will find himself back in the same crime. So I think he's looking for an opportunity to work, to see if he can help the government, to talk with some of these boys to see if they can drop drop those acts and show them that there's no road to it. But he's also looking to make money off it. So that's why he's doing all the
for security agencies. How should they handle Watume now going forward, knowing that this man used to be a danger man, and now he's willing to work with the security agency? Do you think, on the flip side, it could be a dangerous move? Probably he's trying to even get more info as regards to relaunch.
Yes, if I was
careful should they be?
If I was Nigeria, I would even bug him. I would have bugged him well inside his body. I would bug him. I would listen to every conversation. I would be able to see every meeting because such people do not really change. It's
completely
really hard for people who have killed humans to change, because it's a life. It's if it's something you did once by a mistake, okay, but twice,
self-defense,
3 times, it's not something you change from. So I expected, you see, back in the day, before we had this constitution, in Africa, what we did was to send people on exile. We used to send people on exile. But now, we don't have exile in this country. He should have been on exile. That's what I'm saying. After he finishes his jail term, he should leave the country and shouldn't return back to the country for maybe 20 years. We need to find a way to introduce this into our jail terms. When you are out, you will also be on exile for 10 years.
If we remember very well, there was this gun duel between the military and the police, those who were taking him to custody, and this battle.
It was a fracas.
It was a fracas. How are we certain that this same group of people who came fighting for him, trying to release him, are still not loyal to him, and he's not going to still have a gang? Look, how dangerous is this man, looking at that episode that occurred?
This is still very dangerous. For me, this is very dangerous. But I don't think the military thinks differently from how I think. They know there's nothing they can do. Our law is weak. And this is what weakens the military. Because you take somebody, you arrest him, he jumps bail, he tries to kill people jumping bail, you get him back, you lock him, and in a few years, he's out and he's being celebrated as he returns on the street. So all the people who arrested him, he can go after them and witch hunt them. And revenge. The people who gave you intel in those communities won't feel safe.
True.
Yes. If I was the one who told on him in that community, I would have to run. So we need to add exile to this, change our constitution, add exile. Somebody who has had a high-profile criminal and terrorism case should not be reintegrated into society. They should go on exile. Be in another country. And we don't want to see your foot here for maybe 20 years. Let's see that you have
really changed.
Really changed. Because whoever told on him, whoever didn't support him, will not feel safe in that community.
And for those who...
And I even see a hint of that in the voice, in the words of the chief. The chief too is not very comfortable with this arrangement.
He said, hoping. He's
hoping you have changed.
Because the commentary was that he's someone who has always been dubious. He might not be completely criminal, but he has always have a dubious mind. When those analysis is used to describe him, means they've known him from youth
for years. They've known him for years. So it's a really sad situation, but those are the areas in our constitution that still need change.
Very sad commentary. We hope the needful will be done. Let's take you to, I guess this is going to be our last talking point, and it's coming from Edo State, where Shaibu said his removal was hatched because of his governorship ambition, and he was confident that the legal system would vindicate him. Philip Shaibu, who was removed from office as the deputy governor of Edo State, has vowed to challenge in court his impeachment and removal from office by the Edo State House of Assembly. It was the former deputy governor's first reaction to his removal from office by the State Assembly. Omobayo Godwins, also known as Marvelous, was was promptly cleared and sworn in to replace Shaibu as the new deputy governor of the state. Congratulations on Mobayo. Let's look at this. I know you're well versed. I'm saving the best for last. So tell us, what does this mean to the people of Edo State? And the last time we talked about this issue, you were very confident this was going to happen somewhere along the line. So do you think he still has what it takes to battle the PDP? And is his political life finished? Because some are saying, we had I think one of the spokesperson for the governor on our breakfast show this morning saying Philip Shaibu has no party structure, and if he was smart, he would lay low and come back humble, and probably he'll be taken by the hand to show the way. He was being too ambitious and didn't know when to say no or when to stop.
Yeah, you see, like, since 1999, where he's from the same ward, he's from the same local government, from the same ward, from the same senatorial zone with Senator Oshomole. So, and he's very dominant there, so he wins all the elections. So you're from this place, and Oshomole has ruled for 8 years. And from the Edo South, Obasaki and Igbenedion have ruled for 16 years. That makes 24 years. Yes. So in all of that, there's a senatorial zone that has not ruled at all. When they went round...
You're talking the Esan Central?
Yes, Edo Central. Esan tribe. So when he and the governor went around there are 18 local governments in the state. They went around to 5 Edo Central states seeking for support in 2020. They promised the people that they would give them the tickets. And he was there. So 4 years down the line, he comes to meet the governor. Governor, I want to do this. He says, we have made a promise. Me and you, we made this promise to these people. I can't give you this. But wait, in a few months' time, you pick up the senatorial ticket of PDP for Edo North. Beat Oshomole. You're there. 8 years after that, whoever is from the Esan place, if we win, we'll have finished. And then you go. You see? So this will have been an arrangement that worked. And for Obasaki, he's a governor that has given him a lot of space, a lot of breathing room. There is no deputy governor that is more popular than Shaibu in Nigeria. There is no deputy governor. There are many states I can call now, and we won't know 20 out of the 36 deputy governors. So this is not a case of where he was, and then he bought tickets, he campaigned, he has the biggest billboards in Edo State. So he was given free room to contest. However, on the day of the primaries, he decided to do a parallel primary. You are the deputy governor. There are many other people who are aggrieved, but you are the only person running a parallel primaries in your parlor. Yes, I can say that the issues brought up were not political in court. They were more administrative issues, but he may be able to win the case if those things don't stick. But it will surely not happen before the election.
Was he wrong not to appear before the panel? Would he have probably truncated the plan of the House of Assembly or the governor, if the governor had it, if he had come before the panel and defended himself and made a good case? Do you think he would have gotten a fair trial or a fair probe, rather than not show up at all?
Yeah, people don't give Obasaki his worth in court. Obasaki has not lost a case in court. He's not a lawyer, but he sits well and gets good legal advice before he takes a part. He's not as noisy, so people do not see that about him. He's not a noisy person. He sits down, takes legal advice, and then he now acts upon it. So with that, he must have listened to some people and said, these charges will stick. For the deputy governor not coming, he knows his coming will not change anything. I believe he's gone, and he's gone for good. There's nothing new that will take place on that. He's gone, and he's gone for good. The new person has come in. The new person is from the same senatorial zone, but not from the same local government. So the new person is a Labour Party candidate. He got third in the election, but people in that local government said he won the election. And then this is a three-leg horse race. You want to draw some obedient votes by giving a young man from that attraction. So it's a political, it's a win-win case for PDP. PDP's candidate is 64 years. He'll be 65 in July. His running mate, the SSG, is also about 64 years old. So there was not so much youth present. So they used this opportunity. Instead of keep somebody who is grumbling and throwing tantrums, let's use that seat to bring in a youth from that same senatorial zone and see what he can fight and bring to the table in votes. So it was a good political decision.
Okay, in terms of getting to the court, do you think Philip Shaibu has a case that could probably rattle the PDP?
He didn't show up in court. What was his excuse for not showing up in court?
Well, he's saying he's still counting on the legal system to help him.
When he didn't show up in court, he killed his case. You see, what he needs, you are not, you see, the quotation I said on the group that he's on and the governor is on, I said when a child is being carried, he should not assume that that is his height. Your carried doesn't mean that's your height, because if the people carrying you removed their hands, we will see your real height. He has been carried for so long that he assumed that to be his height. But I'm sure in a few days' time he will know his real height.
For the governor, incumbent governor, what does this also do for his political future going forward? And the deputy has said he will always be loyal. We've heard this a lot of times when new deputies come in and they say they will always be loyal. Then somewhere down the line, we begin to notice some friction play out.
He doesn't have more time. By end of the year, he's only deputy governor for maybe 6-7 months. That's the end of his deputy.
But do you think Philip has the influence to make the PDP lose the elections come September by throwing, hammers or anything into the works of the PDP with what he has gone through right now?
Oshomole is stronger than him in Edo North, which is why he has never won his word or won his local government. Oshomole has always won. So
you don't think Oshomole might want to play the devil's advocate and decide to say, okay, I'm going to empower him now to rattle the PDP?
When I'm stronger than you?
No, like to draw him closer, to use him to fight.
Yeah, as at today, APCs are already protesting that they don't want him to join them. As at today, their placards, but he's strong. He's a homeboy. He's a wonderful guy. He's a nice guy. You see, it was just that he didn't agree with the political system and equity that was on ground. If not, he's a nice guy. As a person, he's a wonderful person. But you see, he should have just simply waited for his senatorial ticket.
Do you think he was over-ambitious?
Yes, he was over-ambitious. Clearly. You are not stronger than the organization and the system that brought you this far. You are made deputy because of a permutation. Somebody was picked from Edo South, Obaseki, and you were picked from Edo North to bring these votes together. You are picked for a reason. You are not the only person on earth. This is what politicians must learn. There's a permutation bigger than you. If it favors you, it favors you. If it doesn't favor you, it's bigger than you. It's as simple as that.
All right, I think that calculation, keep it in your head and tell them you got it from the desk where he says permutations rule the world in terms of politics. And I want to say a big thank you to Toba Owojai. Amazing, always having him in the studios as he breaks down every conversation. And on today's edition is no different. Thank you very much. Always
thank you, my brother. I always enjoy being here.
All right, so that's how we're going to wrap the most compelling talk show on TV, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Mawud saying thank you for joining me. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good evening.